area. So effectively, a peak, a trough, a lower peak, and a lower trough. That then sent it spiraling down to the 14,400. And this is exactly the level that we had because we had that on the previous day. And the reason why, it's not rocket science again, you grab a fib of the entire movement and there it is, the 38.2 fib. So the 23.6 had buy pressure. The 38.2, will it have buy pressure? This is where you hope the market can turn around. And you're looking for signs of that throughout the trading session leading into the US. Obviously, if it's going to run, it needs to kind of start moving up here. Now, there are some other reasons. We mentioned gap fills. We now have a large gap. That large gap is between here and here, and we're obviously around the support. And you can see there's a lot of indecision going on in the market right now around this level. If we're going to fill, we see the session move, and obviously if it breaks above here, you think it would fill back to that 14.8 zone. The gap is filled. Now, the problem is once you get a gap fill, what's going to occur? Previous supports become resistance, and bears are going to try to hammer this down. So if that gap does fill, this becomes the area where shorts are occurring. If you're feeling bullish and you still believe in April and you still believe in everything that's going on, what you're looking for really is, yes, there might be weakness here, but if it busts back above, when it gets through a zone like this, especially if you're thinking about it like that, when it gets above this zone and even maybe breaks this, it's not going to usually find much resistance at these previous peaks. It's usually going to actually bust through and create a new peak off this level, which again would be bullish. So there are cases. I mean, this is the thing with trading. You're constantly reassessing your time frames and the way that you're thinking about the market. And when you see certain things, the probability of that next move happening becomes higher. For bears, I mean, if you crush it through this 14.4 level, obviously that's incredibly negative. And then each rally that is met, you would think would be shorted off on, and a similar scenario to over here. So it is critical, absolutely, for this NASDAQ to move through. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. So very similar. What's it sitting on? Many people were hoping for this a few weeks ago, and now that it's come, obviously they're not going to be as keen on it, and that's usually the way it is. It's not easy to buy the dip sometimes, is it? So 38.2 fib, it's come back to 23.6. Obviously, we saw buying pressure. We also saw a bit of a rally coming off the 38.2 fib in the session. This is exactly where we had it in the previous video, 44.50 and 4,400 being the last final level, the 50% fib. So these levels here are both important. We've still got a gap, and it's similar to the NASDAQ. If we rally, we find previous support as resistance, and depending on whether you can rally through that will depend on whether we make a new peak and continue through April, or whether we go bam, bam, new low, all right, yeah, well, shorters are coming straight back in. And at that point, you've got to say, okay, weekly is going to close negative, and this is where things get scary. You know, if you get something like this, remember, this is like an evening star. Here's the bullish candle, here's the bearish candle, and here could be the evening star should it occur. I don't fight evening stars. Why would you? That would not be a good idea. You have a theory, but when things confirm and they start to flow through, that's where things change. So it is really now or never in some ways for this market in terms of the bullishness. What do you think in the comments down below though? I'd be really interested to see what people's opinions are. Obviously, I hope you've been enjoying the content, and if you're interested, continue to subscribe and of course, click that like button if you find value in today's video. Let's talk about Max Pain. Why does this make sense? 452. Let's just go back to the SPY here for a second, go to a 1 hour chart. Where is Max Pain? Right here, 452. So let's get rid of that level. I laugh because, you know, it's funny how it works like this. So last week we saw Max Pain perfectly hit. It actually perfectly hit. This week, Max Pain is sitting right here. So actually on the gap fill. Interesting. Come Friday, you're sitting on here. Wow, what an interesting week that would be. Let's just go back over to the weekly. I just want to spend some time here on this. So imagine that. What's going to happen? I laugh because I know what it's going to look like. You're going to close. Let's just say we close here at 452. The candle that might be forming around here could be a high, a low, and an open and a close with less than, a third of the body. So effectively a long-legged indecision doji. Imagine if that occurred. That would be pretty annoying. Let's go over to what actually is going on in terms of where the options are sitting. Well, we still have a lot of puts left over from previous weeks, and we have a lot sitting around that 450, as you can see. More puts than calls. So should the market bounce back up here? I guess the argument right now is most likely. We've seen rally off the 23.6 fib. We've potentially got we've got a 38.2 fib. We've got this good chance that there's a rally here into a gap fill. Again, the stats, the information, it's starting to build together into potentially the bull case. Now, you still may disagree, and of course, if it triggers underneath, then you'll be correct. But that's something that we certainly are looking for in markets right now. Let's talk about Bitcoin. So it fell through that first initial rally. So we saw the rally come off the 44, and then it's gone underneath. And obviously, this is another one of risk on, risk off. Is it at critical? Well, it's basically there. I mean, between this 43, 42 zone, if we again grab this some little color here so you can illustrate it, this is a very important area. You can see the resistances and where the market needs to trigger off into buys. If it doesn't, it becomes unclear. And we've hit the 48, the daily 200, but do we go through and back up? This is going to be an incredible 2 days for crypto here as well, because it needs to do the same thing. Look at the weekly. It needs to hold up at this point. If it doesn't, not so good for crypto. Our BTC shorts looking bad. They've increased a little bit, meaning there are some shorters coming into the market, but I wouldn't say that's enough increase to be really freaking out about. And in terms of ETH BTC, it's right on support. So that is that Ethereum should be holding okay against BTC right now. It's dropped a bit because of fear. All of the rest of the crypto coins obviously have been getting hit a lot worse, and it's right at that ratio. So Ethereum is also sitting on support. If you haven't already, please consider following us over at FX Evolution. We do share a whole bunch of information, including some interesting stats that has been filled from the Discord community. We've got a great Discord community. The guys were really on the short on Tuesday as well in terms of when they saw the reaction by the market. They were really over that. So I'll give them a congratulations on the day. So jump into the Discord community, get involved in the community, some great people there. And in terms of news for the rest of the week, there's not really too much. So the FOMC meeting minutes has happened. We're now going to be allowed to see what happens with the markets. But I will say one thing. Old Bullard's coming out here and yelling, but specifically Bullard, 9 a.m. Thursday on the New York time. And you know what he is. He'll be calling for 5,000 hikes in about two minutes if he could have it. So thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to, and give us a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.